Okay, so now we're going to move on to section 2, which, like normal, is a sort of a speech given by someone, usually to do with academics or studying. And so we've got the first 3 questions, 11 to 13, is listening and multiple choice. Okay, relatively straightforward. Let's listen through, and you can see where I'll pause it and mark the answers. Okay.
From 11 to 13. Welcome to our tests workshop. This is Johnny Walker of International Student Support. This workshop is an annual event which we hold for first-year students like you.
Okay, so could we hear then that he said an annual event which we hold for first-year students like you? Okay, so new, so he says first year. Okay, which is a paraphrase of new. Okay, and then at the start he says, this is Johnny Walker of International Student Support. Okay, so he mentions international, so our answer should be C. Okay.
And I hope that this event will be helpful for you to prepare for tests. As an international student, you will find studying at a foreign university quite different from studying at schools in your country. Some of you may be shocked at one time or another during the semester when you receive results for your assignment, that aren't as high as you expect. Actually, the transition from school to university can be a difficult one, particularly for international students. The academic standards are higher, and, of course, there is considerably less supervision at university. Additionally, students are expected to deal with studying on their own. First, I intend to help you learn how to cope with the upcoming exam period by giving you some practical strategies to take with you into the exam.
Okay, so could you see how I annotated there as we were listening along? So we had the key word transitioning. Okay, so he literally said transitioning from school to university can be difficult, so we know the answer's coming up. Okay. And then he literally says, I intend to help you. Additionally, students are expected to deal with studying on their own. Okay, so studying on their own, independent. So that paraphrases too, they should be responsible for their own learning. Okay, so it's this idea of independence. You're responsible for your own studying. And then he literally says next, what's the next goal? I intend to help you learn how to cope with the upcoming exam period. Okay, so some strategies to deal with exams. Okay, so that was relatively straightforward. Let's take a look at the next set of answers. Okay, so the next section is relatively straightforward. He gives you all the answers quite clearly. So the first thing he says is stress has to be managed in 2 aspects, the physiological and psychological. Okay, so the challenge here is your spelling. Physiological. Okay, and the fact that he says physiological first and psychological second. Okay, so you need to be listening and taking notes and memos as you go through. And then he says, I'm sure you will experience an increased pulse rate. Okay, so the rate of your pulse. Okay, as he lists out excessive sweating, sweaty hands or underarms, shortness of breath, and placed in a stressful situation. The most effective way to manage, okay, so when he gives the next answer, these physiological reactions is through controlled breathing. Is the answer. Okay, and again, spelling is important. And then he moves on to psychological. Psychologically, stress can make you panic. Okay. Ooh, panic. Panic. Stress making you panic. For an exam, you need to think rationally, and that is why you need to be confident and organized, and be calm and analyze the questions. Okay, so that was relatively straightforward, nothing too stressful there. Okay, and then moving on to questions 19 to 20. Okay, and then the last 2 questions are sort of a slightly different style of listening and gap filling. So you have to listen all the way to the end of the speech. There's quite a lot of not relevant information. Okay, and then we get to, in summary, to do well in exam, you not only need the academic ability. Okay, so have academic ability. You also need to be in a relaxed state of mind. Okay, so that's what it literally says, so that's the answer. With the ability to think clearly clearly enough under pressure and to allocate suitable, so you literally just allocate suitable time frames to questions, okay? So you're looking for time frames, okay? So this is going to be a test of, it's relatively straightforward. He says the answers quite clearly, but it's just for some of them a case of spelling and being careful about spelling.